Ready? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
What do we got?
Oh, Will, that's you.
Oh, wait, if I win, do I have to do the intro?
Yeah, you do the
Oh, wait, that's horrible. Everybody, welcome to PeakD&D. This is a live stream. We don't have an episode this week because Tony needs, we all need a break sometimes. And editing is a lot of work. And Max is gone. We don't know where he is. Maybe we can get into talking about that. But welcome, everybody, to the Peak. We will talk a little bit about the campaign. We will talk a little bit about the DC-20 system, and we will see where this conversation takes us. And I have a few personal questions as well for Ben and Tony. So
I love it. Yeah, questions. We're all about getting to know each other. We'll see who ends up coming in for the live stream. But if you have questions that you want us to answer, throw them in the chat down there.
Yes,
and
keeping an eye on it.
We'll get to them. We're keeping an eye on the chat. Tony's got it. He's our live streaming guru.
I try.
If we haven't said it already. And
except the last time when I was in Germany and you guys had the live stream.
Oh God, that was horrible. we tried so hard. I think it turned out okay, actually.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
Tony has all the cool graphics and
that's true.
Stuff like that.
I have the storage.
Yeah, we were scrambling.
I have the storage.
It's true. True. Is anybody on there? Hold on. I'm gonna look at my. Yeah, people are still trickling in. But so if you, I guess let's talk a little bit about the campaign.
Will's got the questions.
Let's do Will's questions. Yeah,
I do. I came prepared. I came prepared with some shower thoughts.
He did his homework.
Will.
Yeah.
I love him.
He's the most prepared member of PeakD&D, actually, since he's joined.
Like, more prepared than me, and I'm running the damn thing.
Give it time. Give it time. I'll get lazy, And I just want to say, just to start off the bat, I don't know who told me this, but Fistful of Dollars is my rock, paper, scissors strategy, usually, until I tell somebody that. But Fistful of Dollars, always throw a rock. And look at me, I won and actually lost. And that's kind of how Orin is, too. I don't want to roll high. I don't want to win my initiative. I want to go last.
You always want to go last.
Yeah, I'm defense. I'm a defensive fighter.
Yeah.
And we can get into that a little bit, too, because I feel like mechanically DC-20 has presented that option. And maybe that is a good place to start. And Tony hasn't been able to answer that question. Ben and Max and I had a small discussion about maybe DC-20 and how we feel as we are 13 episodes in now.
As released, yes.
We touched on it a little bit, and we knew when we started, these are the things that are different, and we can speak on that. But, maybe for all of us, Ben, Tony, and I, what are our favorite rules? What are we thinking so far of DC-20 system? And, I know that the Dungeon Coach also just recently put out some polls and, seeing what the overall favorite rules are. But is there anything that off the top of your head you're thinking of right now that you're loving?
I want to go last. I want to hear from the players.
I can go first. Go first if you want me to.
Now you're Orin. Now you want to go last. What's up?
I'm just going to keep talking.
Acoustic Equilibrium is in the chat. What's up, man? Thanks for hanging out.
Is it Acoustic Equilibrium that gave us our fan art?
I don't know. Is that him?
Okay. I don't. They said they said they're gonna be here in a minute.
Yeah.
But I can't. There's a life dream of mine come true. But I cannot express to you how excited I was
when he comes back.
Around.
When he comes back on the chat, I'll let you know when he's active again, and you can reintroduce.
We're gonna revisit this moment.
I don't even know what you guys. I think I've been buried in my own personal life for the last 2 weeks, so I haven't even realized what's going on with fan art.
Yeah, so Will texted our group chat and was like, "We got fan art," and I was like, "What?"
That's awesome. Where is it?
I instantly jumped onto Discord and were like,
"Oh, it's in the Discord." That's right.
And it looks like the picture of Inara that we made.
It is Inara. We are Inara.
Everyone is Inara.
The land is Inara. We are Inara. Everyone is Inara.
Sorry, let's see. Well, if I'm a guru enough, I might be able to show it, but we'll see. But anyways, favorite mechanics. Will, why don't you go while I look at the...
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, I think that one of the dungeon coach's points as far as what the favorite rules or best parts about the DC-20 system is being a level 1 character is fun. More fun potentially than being a level 1 D&D character. And I feel like I agree. And I think that has a lot to do with the 4 action points and that you get, and being able to use those however you want to. Within combat, within the rules, I guess, has been really amazing and malleable, and definitely I would put that as one of my favorite rules. I can list off a few of them as well, if you need, but I was just kind of blown away and amazed that I created this, like, you can tell me if this thing already exists in D&D, but this like idea of this like defensive shield type fighter who, like, I don't know, I'm not like a healer, but essentially I'm like using a shield and using, these mechanics to protect both Tony and Max's character in combat, and myself a lot too. And I just thought that was really interesting. It's not damage per section, damage per
second
action.
DPS.
Yeah, but it's like
DPA.
It's like defense per whatever, which I think is amazing. And I don't know that I could have built something like that in D&D and used it in that way either. So
well, I think it's just like it's giving a fighter a way, aside from killing enemies, a way to crowd control, essentially, which is just a nice and nifty way to reuse a fighter rather than always just attacking. Like, fighters defend too. So it's a really cool, the amount he already has in just the 06 alpha or 06.5 or whatever we're on is pretty awesome that you can play him like that.
Yeah, I think we're about to get 0.7 before the beta launches with the launch of the Kickstarter, and any Kickstarter backer gets access to the beta. I think he did a video on this. I already have forgot it.
Grand old dwarf in the
dwarf.
truck.
Hello. Yes, character building is also, that was one I was going to touch on actually when we got to me. But to go with what you said, I thought about this a lot because I'm pretty fluent in 5e, as many of us are.
True.
And I was like, how would I build Orin, Julius, and Ravi in 5e? Like,
you went back and tried to rebuild.
Happens, and we have to start over or transition somehow, or just like for a fun exercise, port them over to a 5e game. What would happen? And I don't think I would do it. I couldn't do it as effectively as how you play Orin will, it as like using the shield master feat and the defensive fighting style, and all of those things that like you could make a similar fighter, I think, with the 5e rule set, but I don't think it would be as dynamic, and I don't think it would not feel the same. And I like the way that your shield, you're like the way that you're using your parry and all of those like maneuvers that Alan's put in the game, I think are really, really cool. So spot on with that. And the action points, to reiterate that point again, I think that is the standout feature of this game.
Yeah.
To me, that was what the other thing I was going to touch on, which you already did, but
it is doubles.
The action points are the standout feature.
It's what makes Will's character work.
Yeah.
Because you have the 4 action points, and as long as you have the trigger to trigger the reaction, you can use them, and then you get them back at the end, which I think is really interesting. Or that's the prominent point, right? Is that you get them back at the end of your turn. So then you can use them up until your turn, and then whatever you have left on your turn is what else you can do.
Mm-hmm. So it is a trade-off, right? Like, so if you are, spending them all Willie Nelson throughout the, to gain a reaction and give yourself advantage and whatever, like, by the time it gets your turn, you might not be able to do anything, but maybe you did something really cool in between, and but
you could also change that every single turn. That's what's cool, is like one turn you can do it, all reactionary, and then the next turn you can do it all on your turn.
Totally.
So
I mean, if it was the one thing, And I think that's why Grand Old Dwarf
It's been
just
very fluid.
posted in the chat that like that's the one thing that I wish 5e had is that dynamic action system. And it's one thing the DC-20 does so well, which I think is why it gets a lot of comparison as like, oh, this is truly D&D 6th edition is what DC-20 is turning into. And I think there's a lot of people, because it gives us all the things that we sort of wanted, like because it was
fluidity,
like,
the fluidity that we all wanted.
Right. 5e became very formulaic, right? Like action, bonus action, reaction, movement.
Yeah.
Or dash. You could take a dash action to move. But here you have, it's so interchangeable and it's so fluid, and all of our combats have felt far more fluid to me than even, learning a new system every other session.
Yeah.
The updates. It's not a new system, but like, making sure we're trying to get them, and we get all the rules corrections from King Hodop every week, and I just get more and more disappointed myself. I'm like, oh God.
No, and that is amazing to be able to get that kind of feedback. And I don't know that if we were playing, well, I mean, maybe I shouldn't sell YouTube comments short, but I feel like because it is a system in development, like getting that feedback is so important too. Maybe with D&D there's a bigger community, maybe the rules are better understood, and maybe we would be getting the same amount of feedback, but I don't think that's true. I love the fact, not that I care that we get it so right, every time.
It's actually kind of funny we don't.
Yeah, sure. Sure. But yeah, total shout out to King Hodop. I love the fact that we can, learn from, it's like live learning here. So
yeah. And Grand Old Dwarf kind of seconded it too. He said the second thing he'd poured over would be spells and mana points. And that's what I've been dealing with. And I think that system is also really good. I think I'll understand it more the further we go on though. Because like the ceiling at level 1 is very low.
Yeah.
Even for a wizard. The one thing I can do that Max can't is I can pump. I think like my magic point ceiling is like 2 more than what it's supposed to be, or 1 more than what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I think we have to do a little bit of auditing before we move into beta.
But once we like level up, I get more mana points. We just haven't gotten to that point yet. So I think once I get more mana points, I'll have that like, okay, I have 12 mana points. I could spend 4 every single action. Where do I want to spend them and why? But I've really enjoyed that you can, some of the spells that are cantrips, I think you can pump action points into, which is really nice, to pump them up or to give them a different effect, which is really nice. Like, hey, like a lot of the times I've been trying to slow things now with Frostbolt, and the fact that I can just put an action point, like more energy into that spell just for the 1 turn, just to try to have that happen, is just makes you feel like you're not just attacking with the Frostbolt and you do damage. And then you can also pump it up for damage or for range too. So if you're out of range on a certain, like you don't want to move, there's ways you can formulaically kind of change every single round of combat in order to make them work for you.
Yeah,
which is really nice.
Cantrips are going to be useful throughout the game. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, just like in
no mana points left, I could Frostbolt and like pump it and still do 5 damage if it hits.
Without mana point.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Grand Old Dwarf just said that. They stay real even without mana points. Like you can
mana limit break. Yeah.
One of the things I think that gets brought up in the Dungeon Coach's poll was that every spell check has a D20 roll. Is that simplified? Not having too much idea of the magical side of things on either DC-20 or the D&D side of things. Does that make a much more simple system out of magic? Does it make things easier?
What do you mean? What were you saying?
You roll it for any spell that you cast. You roll a D20.
The dynamic spell casting.
No, I think slightly different. Well, maybe it's called dynamic spell casting. I think what Will's talking about is like, for instance, I think like my Fire Shield's 1, and then I think Max's like healing points is 1, where you have your own spell DC and you roll, even though there's not a pass or fail, but there's a better version if you like do more. So like my Fire Shield, if I roll above it, I get 3 temporary hit points rather than 2 if I fail the spell check. So like this fail is like your default spell, like if you were just to cast it. And then I think what you do with those is the 5-point increments also add to making it more dynamic that every 5 points you get over that DC, you get to add one other point to whatever you're doing.
Yes. I think I was sorry, I faded in and out.
But it's nice though that like your rolls matter even on a spell that's like
well, it's different.
It's
different than like other systems, 5e, because where you would have a saving throw or like a spell, a saving throw versus your spell save DC, or it's a spell attack. It's one or the other, or some of them don't require anything like magic missile and they just hit, and you know what I mean. So it's like it's in some ways it levels the playing field. It makes a wizard feel more like active in combat because it does depend on a roll more often than not as to what the final effect of that spell is, and it can vary a lot, like it can. And
it's nice that they will just work no matter what, but the better you roll, the better it will work. So your rolls actually matter. Mm-hmm. Your spell check rolls actually matter rather than it just saying like, well, you heal 5 points, so that's all you did. But if you rolled well, you heal them more.
Right.
I
missed what Grendel
It's the cleanest part of my sheet. I haven't touched mana points, and the second cleanest part of my sheet is probably grit points, because we haven't touched.
I don't think we've touched
we
those
have
yet.
Not used a single grit point, and we're 7 sessions ahead of what's been published.
Next episode, we have to.
I will
dig
make you
in.
guys do some grit points.
We got to dig in with some grit.
Get that grit.
I'm trying to think of what. I can't remember where we left off, but that's neither here nor there.
We left off with your other favorite mechanics. You were talking about the dynamic spellcasting and the mana points.
No, my favorite mechanic is the Wild Surge, where I turn into dragon. I just want that to happen all the time.
Wild Surge on spell duels, yeah.
Will we keep it home? Will we keep it home rules, or will we?
Oh, we're gonna homebrew for that an hour. It lasts for an hour every time, all the time. It lasts for an hour.
Good.
Chug the dragon, chug forever.
I think every time you do a Wild Surge, if you get the same one, it should last longer because it's happened before.
Yeah,
I vote yes.
It was such a happy accident that I didn't see the part about it only lasts till the start of your next turn, and the effects and stuff. And so I was like,
you kind of were just like, we'll see.
Yeah, so we'll have to see how it all shakes out.
But definitely made that dungeon quick.
It was pretty hilarious that you were a dragon for an hour, and maybe it was just being in the land of the elves was enough to imbue your magic with that much extra,
Yeah.
Let's get into that for a second. With maybe the best spontaneous moment of the show, perchance. But what is each of your favorite episodes so far? And is it the Dragon Wild Surge, or is it something else?
Oh, that was such.
And Ben, you have a unique perspective, obviously as the GM here. So.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I think mechanically. The maze felt really fun. Not a maze. The labyrinth felt really fun. It was my very first gelatinous cube, so I got my scout pin on that one. I wish the only thing that would make that any cooler is if I could have gotten that final dagger throw on it. But gelatinous cube, labyrinth, minotaur, like we're playing classics here that I didn't grow up playing this stuff, like Morrowind might have been, or Gauntlet, I don't know. One of these was like my introduction into like the D&D type fantasy gameplay, but it was all new to me, and I was giddy, loving every moment of it. And I thought mechanically it was interesting as well for a combat type scenario. So I only wish I went back and grabbed some of those gems. I keep forgetting that I am a jeweler, and I need to really, I want to play into that more. Maybe it would have meant that
I don't know if we could have pried those out of the door, but.
I don't know what happened. I don't know how. It depended on how I was feeling, and I think
we already got a godstone and coins that I didn't want. Maybe the gems would have been a little too much.
I can't remember what you said, Ben.
Sorry, Tony. Go ahead.
I can't remember what you said, but during that, after the labyrinth and finding like the godstone, like was that on the table the whole time? Like, were you gonna give us some sort of chance to find that, or was that legit straight up luck? Rolled the 20 to find
Oh, the Godstone.
the second gods. Yeah, like the compartment that actually had it.
Well, that I was trying to give you guys clues that like there's something glowing inside the chest of this thing, and like I was hoping you
Didn't
would
take
make
that
an
at all.
investigation check. And I had built in like the little treasure pocket
Yeah,
under the floor tile, and then I just in the moment I made that decision that it was that if you put it back in place,
oh, okay,
that it would release the little chamber in the sarcophagus
gotcha.
to show the gods.
But we did roll but Will rolled a natural 20 for that to happen. So I'm curious if like
so
we'll
he
never
put
know
it
now.
back
But
exactly perfect, so it sort of made it happen. But I mean, there was a chance that you would have walked out of there
without that,
without that extra shard.
would that have meant we might have to go back? Kind of thing, like we might have to double back to get that, or
Now,
maybe
there's
it's not
plenty
as,
of Godstones. There's plenty of Godstones we're gonna find.
They're just lying around. They're the diamond.
or maybe it's not as I feel like the Godstone's like a main plot point, but maybe that's just my perception.
There's
now,
a
and maybe that's
beach
not
near
the case.
Gold Point. There's a beach near Gold Point where the pebbles are all just these smooth
covered, like sea
Godstones,
glass.
just
Yeah.
covered in Godstone.
Godstone Beach.
Godstone Beach. It
Welcome
is.
to Godstone Beach.
So they
Please
are
take your
like
sandals
they're
off.
sort of little scattered parts of the larger Godstones that something has
I'm
happened.
sure Ravi's gonna try to like UMD that at some point.
Yeah, that's one mechanic that I like.
We all miss that, I think. Max
Miss that
does
from
too.
3.5.
We all miss UMD from 3.5.
For those youngins who never played 3.5,
And me, I have no idea what you're talking about.
UMD was a
You had a
percentage
skill.
chance
You
based
had a
on
skill.
your intelligence score.
But it
I
was
forget
also a
exactly.
skill. You could also pump skill points
Yeah, you
into
could pump-
UMD.
you-
into
yeah, you could
use
put-
magical device is what it is.
Yes. Oh, Dave Blake's here.
Hey,
Dave, what's on, man?
Dave knows all about UMD.
Yeah, but so it was use magical device, and it was essentially a roll. It came down to a roll, and depending how many like points you put into that feat, you could have a better chance of just picking up something
Like
magical and
yeah.
using it well, or like unlocking.
Like that teleportation stone that I had, for instance. Like if I wasn't a magic user, that might have been a UMD check. back in the day.
Sure.
Of like, do you know how to use this and activate it? So
Maybe that comes into play if I ever try and use the Godstone somehow too, because I have no magical abilities whatsoever.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure Ben will cook something up in the moment of like, we'll see what happens here.
Well, Ben or Tony, favorite other episode, episode so far? Mechanically, role play, just
that has
for
come out.
whatever reason, yeah,
That has
that is
come
out so far.
Yeah, my camera's lagging now. Okay. Well, the Mazorinth was one that I have been dreaming about doing for a while.
It is very well executed.
So mechanically, I'm working on a free PDF that we're going to put out on
Oh, nice.
somewhere,
For that?
so that you can like that has a little map and like how the game works. It's based on, if you've never played this board game by Ravensburger, I think makes it. It's like a little kid's board game. It's like for 7-year-olds, but it is so fun.
Are the pieces the board game that we played with, or what
No,
were the
those
pieces?
are like dungeon tiles that I have.
Okay.
But the game is like a tile based game, like they're flat cardboard tiles, and there's a few. Some of them are fixed, like every other one, and then it's basically like you have to navigate it through the dungeon as it moves. The the labyrinth moves. It's a game called Labyrinth, if I didn't say that. And
Not a maze.
Not a
not a
maze.
maze.
Not a
And
god.
and you have to go, like, you draw cards and you find there's like treasures on the board, and you have to find the treasure. You have to get to the square that has the treasure that you're looking for on your card.
Okay.
And then whoever has the most treasures at the end of the game wins. And you're little
Nice.
wizards, like they're little
That's awesome.
D&D looking wizards.
That's
I'm gonna
awesome.
keep you honest. I don't know that you answered the question, Ben.
Okay, well, I like
Is that your favorite episode?
that. No, my favorite episode was when I killed off all of the Ewok scouts.
Oh,
yeah.
fair.
Oh yeah,
When you guys
evil.
when you guys
Evil.
got
That was a
back
good one.
from- yeah, high hopes.
That was eye-opening for me, knowing like, oh, okay, this is where we're going with this. I thought we were in a comedy, but we're in a horror movie. That's like realizing what genre we were in, up until that point. I didn't think we were in a comedy, but definitely a dark fantasy now.
Yeah, I had to bring some gravitas in. And then
I love it. It was so much. It was too much.
Kind of like an arc that I thought was like, it was kind of dark. And then, so now what's coming up, this is a sneak preview for the rest of you guys. It's a little bit more levity, I think I brought in the next couple episodes. There's sort of a crisis point happening right now, but then once that resolves itself, it's kind of silly and fun.
Not that there isn't the chance of imminent death at any moment in these episodes, though. Either.
For sure. I mean, you guys have backup characters for a reason. Let me tell you that. Because
I don't, but I do. I don't, but I do.
You don't, but you do. You're a Nara. That's what we said.
No. He's the Shadow King. Or Will's backup character is the Shadow King.
What if everyone's backup character was named Inara?
And then it's like doppelganger. Like who's who? Who's the actual?
We are all Inara.
Oh, Grand Old Dwarf. Oh my God! If I could have spent another hour
and he would have
that board to make those tiles like move smooth, like in the game Labyrinth, like in my head, that's how they should have moved.
Yeah. I think you just probably had to like not station the stationary ones. You probably could have moved them like, an extra centimeter out each way just to make sure they moved, but didn't have to be like right on. You know what I mean? That probably would have been it.
Yeah.
Tony, what do you think? Favorite episode so far?
Well, Ben just mentioned something, but it hasn't come out yet, so
you can't talk about it.
I was about to say something too.
Can't talk about it.
Can't talk about it. Can't talk about it. But it is it. I think what I'm thinking of is the next episode. The moment I'm just started thinking of is the next episode. I'm fairly certain.
The next episode is very fun. I remember enjoying it thoroughly.
It's a good episode.
We have a moon dance.
I think Mazeranth is up there, but since we've already discussed that, I will move. Honestly, from not a mechanical standpoint, but from a story standpoint, I did enjoy. I did enjoy like the reading of the letters. Like
totally.
When
that was cool.
It was the like we've been here for like what 3 hours. We found Inara. We figure out the Shadow King is here, and then it's like, Ravi, here's the letter, and we should read them. And I'm like, all right.
I wasn't sure when that letter was gonna come into play. I knew it was like, okay, it would have been somewhere in that arc, like, and it was right around the Shadow King assault that happened in the library, and then I was like, oh man, but we got to end on this. We got to figure out a way to make it happen at the end. And you guys did an awesome job of figuring, like, we were able to work in enough downtime at the end, and I was like, oh, they're gonna read that letter. I'm gonna make Inara leave the room and see if they read it.
Yeah,
and she did.
And the only reason I think I gave it to Tony, one, I think I was feeling very bad about the spider fight and how other things were going. I thought
Marlo's in the chat.
Chat. What's up, buddy? Mazeranth, yes, he likes Mazeranth too. Everyone likes the Mazeranth. So good job.
So it's not actually the title of the episode, isn't it? Like, it's actually you'll never get out of this maze.
Correct.
Which is officially.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think our mock-up was Mazeranth, which is hilarious that no one knows that. But
Yeah,
I think those of your mock-ups were.
On the recap, you used the Mazeranth thumbnail, so little Easter egg for everybody.
Another Easter egg about that thumbnail for the Mazeranth episode. I used the structure of the Windows 95 3D maze.
Oh, that's right. I remember you telling us that.
And I used the appearance of the Fish album that song comes from. So that's why it has that blue tone to it. But if you look at it again, it's the Windows 95 3D maze as a structure.
I love that.
So that's another little Easter egg there.
There you go.
Can I switch it? Can I switch it with a DM question quickly? Well, maybe actually real quick, and maybe to go back to Moondance.
Yeah.
It made me think just quickly that Oren and Ravi aren't as concerned about what's happening to Julius. I mean, we see it, but there's a lot of stuff that's happening to Julius, and we seem to brush it off, or
sweet, huge bear. Yeah, go fight for us.
Yeah, and maybe it's just worth bringing that up as Max isn't here. That we totally. He's going.
We're kind of like, all right.
He's going through some major life changes right now that are causing him.
This has been the most traumatic 2 weeks of Julius.
And we're just like, come on, Julius, we got to go to the next place. Let's go. We have no time.
We have not really given him the moment. And I think even when Ben starts describing here about us getting to Bronze Gate, which happens at the end of the last episode that just came out. And he said, and you're mentioning that there's a fight, and that there's something happening. You can see Max's head just drop. He's like, we don't have another moment of not a moment's rest to breathe. And poor Julius is suffering. And maybe one day we'll be able to have another group session with him.
Entirely because of my narrative storytelling choices that I've made. I'm just like, we're on to the next thing, and it's.
But even so, I think there is an upcoming point where we do have a chance. I don't know how many episodes out now, but we do have a chance to talk. But I still, to Will's point, I don't think we talk about what's happening with Julius still.
No, poor Max, poor Julius. I don't know if it's a seating arrangement, how we're sitting in the studio, or if we just, Julius just needs to take this journey on his own.
Well, it could be, I don't know if it's a Max player thing or if it's a Max playing Julius as a character thing, but it could be that his, that the Julius's character is trying to that the most important thing is the main quest, whatever it is at the moment. So he puts aside all of his personal stuff in order to just do what we need to do in the moment. But there's still no brevity for processing what's going on.
If we don't make better friends with him, we're gonna
praise is happening in the chat. Praise him.
Praise.
It's up there. He sits.
Yes.
If we don't address Julius's life-changing issues, or not issues, just his mental health, we might end up like those spiders on one full moon. So we'll have to.
I just had a great idea. Okay, so years go by. We're level 20. We've gone through the entire campaign, right? I don't even know how it's going to end. But what it should end on should be Julius, do you need to talk? We've gone through everything. And then it's what have you gone through, Julius? Are you okay? And then it ends. And that's the end of the campaign.
I started feeling bad for Julius because you go back to the first couple episodes, the boat episode, and he's just he was out partying. He was absconded with by
kidnapped 3 times. I think we've established.
I think through the first 4 episodes, he was kidnapped once per episode.
Puking his guts out on the ship. He's just
threw heel scum into his seasick tea for no reason. So you're not innocent either, Ben.
It was pretty funny. It was pretty funny. But so I mean, I kept thinking about it. We've been thrown into this journey, or Julius has been thrown into this journey, and instantly almost presented with a crisis of faith, right? He's
that's
everything
true.
that he has ever known up till this point in one day was turned upside down, and he's wait, there's more. The old gods are real. What? Elves are real. It's just
and he's getting mind powers, and he's turning into a bear, and
I feel he's basically a 13-year-old going through all the BS, and none of us care.
So that was one of the things that he rolled in character creation that we introduced into the game.
Was the bear?
Yeah, his weird bearness.
His fake die was
something that he could roll on the table that he rolled on. So when he picked the dice, he picked one of 20 dice, and then he rolled it twice. One of those rolls
Oh.
Nice. He
a
rolled it
lycanthropy
twice.
character or characteristic.
Let's move on to a question for Ben, maybe. And Tony, you can and Tony, feel free to jump in too. Anar is not a god, correct?
The Oracle of Inara, who you are traveling with, is not a god. She's a
Anar is not a god. Anar is an oracle, and maybe this is just for my own, knowledge here, and maybe above table talk. But so Inara is coming in to be the oracle. Are we looking kind of like Avatar-ish? Like what are some of the things that
Like
this
the blue
oracle
people.
has as powers?
Like the blue people
The
avatar?
non-blue people.
Oh, the non-blue people avatar.
Nickelodeon.
Oh,
Not
okay.
Cameron. Not Cameron.
She is like she's like the fifth oracle. You guys met the original oracle in that tomb at the end of the Mazorinth. She was the first one. She was just an elf, but they are like essentially the chosen instruments, sort of like the avatar, I guess, of
Are they a
god.
bloodline? I guess we
So
don't know that. Is it a
Yeah, I
bloodline?
don't want you to give
No,
away
it's
too
alright.
much if you want to keep it close. But
Yeah.
I was wondering, like what are some of? I mean, I think Inara does have some magical powers, or there are some powers that she's discovering from.
She does.
herself.
Well, she told you guys she was a ranger, and you've seen her definitely like throw some spells around.
Again, we're just like, whatever.
Yeah. So she's got.
Oh, man.
You have not really discovered much else about her at this point, but I mean, this is what the kids come for, right? We could talk about this.
We're gonna have to
this is what
stop at an
people are here.
apothecary and pick up some ADD meds so we can focus.
Yeah, David H knows what's up. Rangers don't cast spells in DC, but you've definitely seen her cast all kinds of shit. So
Interesting. I mean, I just assumed.
I
Yeah,
play
she
with
was a
swords and I
ranger.
cast with stuff, so.
I
whatever.
assumed she was a ranger, and because she is discovering herself as the oracle and coming into herself as the oracle, that's where her magic powers are coming from. It
there's a
doesn't
little
seem
bit of
like
truth in
other
that.
like Avatar that she has a connection to her past selves, or if she's not her reincarnated either necessarily.
Yeah, I'm with
Anyway,
David H. Maybe she is a god.
Yeah.
not a god, not a god.
It is amazing. It is a god. Can you talk, Ben, a little bit more on?
She just rounded every corner of that maze, and she's like, not a god.
I'm interested. I'm interested to know a little bit about, and I don't know how much of this has been divulged or not, but the land that we're on, Argilia. This was like a home game previously, that you and Max were a part of. And that others were a part of, and some of the god influence is coming from this. Is that's my question, I guess.
Yeah.
And maybe you can
Yeah, Dave Blake is in the chat. He was in that original campaign.
is he a Nara?
He was not a Nara. No. No.
Will, we're all Anara.
Dave was a wizard of some kind who fell to Earth and had like.
Wait, is Dave like my great-great-great-grandfather? Dave's character?
I don't think so. But Morgan Blacksteel was the character's name. Yes, he's right. He just dropped that.
Morgan Blacksteel.
But some of these characters, at least, I mean, you're wanting to pay homage to this. It was also a world that you had developed
Yeah,
previously.
so the lore that came out in that game is the sort of the origins of
Foundation of what we're going
the foundations of that campaign. The events of that campaign were essentially the Ascension Wars. The end of the Ascension Wars was that when all the gods then disappeared.
So did you guys play through that, like the war?
No, we never got to. So we don't really know what happened in that. We got close. Like they got about halfway through, and there was all kinds of stuff about godstones in that campaign, and they at one point started like using the godstones, and they went a little power crazy. And they had these magical rings. It was a super powered. It was second edition. It was AD&D, and it was super overpowered. I mean, they were basically gods at that point, and they were. I
And-
think
and
they
are
only
there
got,
some-
So to David H's question, was Morgan Blacksteel a god? You're saying basically yes.
well, I guess I'll say it here. Morgan Blacksteel was one of the Vortorum. He was one of the 5 Vortorum.
Oh,
Yeah,
Whoa, we're dropping
so he
exclusives here on the
was a
live
god.
chat.
he wasn't a god. They were, none of them were gods. They just had godlike abilities by the end.
They're
of it.
that's what we decided. They're like it's like Hercules.
But,
Yeah,
but
they're
it's
like
cool.
They're
They were
demigods.
touched by another. Yeah.
Bad touch.
So
Bad touch.
and the first Oracle, Audrey Windwalker, was another one of the Vortorum as well.
Was that a PC? Was that a player
Yeah,
that
someone
was
played it.
playing?
That was my wife's character, Debbie.
Oh,
That
Awesome.
was Debbie's
nice.
character.
So
She was the
you
only elf
5
in the
basically
party?
were the Vortorum, or whoever 5 played.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So they were these great heroes, demigods, essentially. That something, we never played this portion of the campaign, but something happened to end the Ascension Wars, and
Ben can't let it go and wants to like build on it, and so now we have the return to Argilia here.
Yeah.
How
and
many years
that is
later
why the
are
campaign is called Return to Argilia.
We have
Because
to
How many
uncover
years?
the
How many
truth.
years are we? Not in game, but how many years since you played this?
12 more,
Oh, wow.
probably more.
I was
Yeah,
yet
it
to
was like
read, lad.
2000 at least 2012 or 13 or something. I have my notebook somewhere of all the campaigns and
That's
stuff.
awesome.
They're not super relevant now because it was all 2nd edition stuff, but
Fair.
like the locations and some of the like places and stuff I've recycled. And Gold Point is actually where we started the campaign.
Okay.
And they started in they started in Gold Point, and then they sort of there was a whole bunch of stuff. But this in our timeline, this was all, the Ascension Wars were about 2,000 years ago.
Right.
So
And there are little Easter eggs. I mean, just from the Vortorum alone, but just from like paying homage to this like game, which is like so awesome.
it's been really fun, and I liked the world enough that I was like, well, let's adapt it for DC 20 and see how it goes.
Yeah.
So it's been
very well so far.
It's been very near and dear to my heart. So I've very much enjoyed revisiting this world and elaborating a little bit on the lore and stuff. And if there's if you guys are interested, we have a World Anvil page that you can look
true.
at all the gods, and it's very bare bones right now because we're not giving too much away. But like,
Can I learn more about the Akatheon there?
yes, you can. You can read about all the
Cool.
Arcotheon.
Cool. Talking about backstory, maybe we can keep it on that tip a little bit, and maybe from Tony and maybe Ben, if there's an NPC like Dragar or something. Is there
last
any
time.
sort of influence that you had, or a small tidbit about your character's backstory that we can like talk above the table here? I can go first if you want to think about it. I know that Oren Orenson, definitely the name came from the I am Uhtred, son of Uhtred, which I just think is amazing, and just kept repeating it after watching that show over and over again. So I wanted to do that kind of Oren, son of Oren. There is another piece to that name that I don't want to reveal right now. But the idea that the character grew up with his parents owning an apothecary. My dad had a cosmetic store as I grew up, and so just like throwing a little like homage to that, like I wanted to build in some of my past into it. Growing up like with my dad owning a cosmetic store, and I thought an apothecary was the closest, deal for that. So just a little like lore drop, character backstory inspiration there.
Nice.
Tony, I know that we were coming up with stuff on the fly session 0,
I still
but
am.
since then, which I think is amazing. I mean, the fact that we have Dadarian now.
What's funny is that, again, future, like we've already done it, but future releases to come, I rediscovered a couple things of what I was thinking about this character. So, but that's, again, neither here nor there, but I have rediscovered a couple things of how I want this character to go. But yeah, I don't know. I just think I either have really good ideas and really like fleshed out ideas, i.e. Gord, or I'm just kind of like, this sounds cool, but I have no idea where he's from or what his motivations are. And that's kind of what Robbie was.
Was Jock Wizard Boy like, hey, I think this would be a cool combo, or what? Where did that?
I think the Jock came later. Like, I think I kind of played around with that, but then ended up not wanting to. But then, like, after the first few sessions, it was like, yeah, that kind of makes more sense for him to be, like, that's his energy. So I kind of adopted that kind of on the fly in the first couple of sessions where it was still kind of, like, figuring out who everybody is and what they're doing there. So I like that about him. I like that he kind of, like, plays around with rapiers and sling spells. I like how Ben kind of helped with this in one of the sessions of like my rapiers kind of like my arcane focus. Basically my wand of like, that's how I cast spells almost, is through the rapier. So I like how it's all kind of like naturally kind of come out and not in a, oh yeah, that's what I'm doing now, like meta sort of way, but it kind of has naturally come out in a game and a story sort of way. So that's been kind of cool. I still don't really know anything about my dad. Dad Darian.
The Darian.
Well, he has a daughter.
Yeah. Oh, right.
And he's not good at fencing.
No, I don't think he is.
He grew up. Well, he was like a merchant. Well, maybe I don't know where.
Basically
maybe
a pirate, pretty much.
Yeah, I can't remember if we've talked about some of that stuff. I was not angry, but at first when Tony's like, yeah, and I think he's a little bit of a sword fighter too. I'm like, no, Tony, I'm the sword fighter in the group. But I loved the idea that like you don't need a bodyguard, and that I lost that like I really wanted to win the our sparring when we first met. But I love the fact that
was a good moment. I liked that.
I mean, you know, the dice tell the best stories quote, you know, just like it was that moment where it was like, cool, like this is so much better that you don't really need a bodyguard, that you might be better than me at sword fighting. And so I learned to love and accept that.
That's good. We've learned to love and accept you
talking about the spell blade
that'd be
badass.
Robbie. And is that a subclass or is that an item?
I think it's a subclass of wizard, which I think is the one that, given the chance, when we get there, we're almost there. We might get to see some early versions of spell blade.
Yeah, okay.
It's a different class. Well, maybe you'll have to multi-class.
Ben, is there an NPC that came from an interesting place that you can think of? I mean, Darian's art had some Lando coloration. Did Dragar's voice come from anywhere?
Dragar's is one of my favorites. Like is he
recurring through different campaigns?
Well, he was a character from one of my characters from a different campaign.
Did he say we feast a lot?
No, that just happened. He never said that.
Totally different Dragar.
I don't think.
Different Dragars.
Yeah, so Dragar, the original Dragar was in this sort of a similar campaign. He was sent to like this frontier, like a new continent that had been discovered. And he was sent there more in exile than anything. And this is totally unrelated to anything with the PeakD&D campaign, so I won't spend too much time on it. But I was like, I had this idea that there were these like, you know, dragonborn paladin elite in the Church of Vortor that were like these just the ultimates.
Yeah.
And that they would show up on this boat. And so I was like, who's going to be the representative of that? And I just sort of dug through the old brain catalog, and I was like, I think Dragar would fit. I'd have to like change him a little bit, but
did he like to party?
And then it was he likes to party. We haven't even.
No, did he though? When you were playing him, did he drink a
he
lot?
Was like the most straight laced.
Oh, okay.
character
Something
ever.
happened. Something happened to him.
Yeah. So he was.
He's
Anyway,
killed
but I
too
was-
much in combat.
Well, but that's also interesting. I imagine you have tons of player PC character sheets to pull from at a moment's notice. And in the future episode, I know that you also pull from a character that is from a different home game. But no spoilers there.
No spoiler.
David H. shares your sentiment, Oren, that he is the best NPC so far. Dracar.
Now we feast so far. I mean, I think that there might be some run. Inara is such a high, status NPC that, she's almost like part of the group at this point. I think. Is that
Which
called
is
like a
not my
DM
intention,
PC?
to be
She's
started.
kind of
I was like, she's hanging around. All right.
It's a little bit of a DM PC right now.
Yeah.
Were you hoping that Tony would have killed her by now? Is that what you're saying?
I don't think that's
No.
possible. Even if I tried, I don't think that would be possible.
I don't know.
I think
mean,
it's
like,
it's out there though
have
right
so
now,
many
right? Through
threads,
13.
but- What?
Through 13, it's out there right now, right? That I said I might marry her, right? That's a thing.
I think so.
Right now?
I think he's
Only above the table. Only above the table. I don't think within any of that.
Okay.
in the game that has not really come across. Occasionally, like we joke that she overhears you say weird things
Oh yeah.
to her every now and then. But
And like Will's moving in on her now. Like it's just
Above the table. Above the table.
Oh man.
Inara's not a god, and she never said that he
But she
wasn't a god.
is available, is what you're saying.
She is available. We don't know. You'll have to wait and see what happens in a few more weeks when you actually you're trying to get to gold point.
Yeah.
So that's where all the action is.
The next two episodes are really good though.
I'm excited. I'm excited about
The
the
next
next
two are
two
really good.
episodes because
We're going for sushi. Who's up for sushi is where we've left off.
Yes. Who's up for sushi? Who's for
I'm
Dennis?
always up for sushi. I feel like that's my
Which, as
that's
it was
my
pointed
desert
out,
island food of choice.
would actually be sashimi.
Oh
I
yeah.
think because it would the rice
Without
and all the other
rice?
stuff that goes into sushi.
Spoiler, I guess.
Well, no, that was pointed out in the comments of this episode. Of
Oh
episode
really? Actually, it would be sashimi.
Yeah.
Let's not.
I don't
Let's
remember who it
not.
was.
Let's
There
not.
was a great actually comment.
How about
I was
let's
like,
not brag on who's making comments on our
You're absolutely right.
YouTube video.
No, I appreciate all the comment. I mean, I love.
Dude, the
I
comment
love having
threads
the
are
conversation.
banging.
The comment
Yeah,
section,
hang out in the comments. We are.
Appreciate
We're
that.
if you're not hanging out in the comments, come join us. We're having fun there throughout the week when we're not seeing each other in person playing games.
It's true.
A non campaign question
Oh, okay.
at all. Tony, you went to game 2 of the Nuggets. You went to game 7 of the Nuggets.
The two worst playoff games for the Nuggets, yes.
Obviously, you don't have an Nara on your side currently, but do
No,
you feel
not on the
somewhat
Nuggets side.
responsible? Do you feel responsible in any way for the Nuggets loss?
No, I don't feel any responsibility.
You don't have that like superstition. I had that with the Atlanta
No,
Braves so much. Like if I tune in and they start losing, I'm like, well, it's me. I gotta go. I should go. I can't watch anymore.
No, because conversely, I was there when they won the whole thing last year. I was at that game. So you would think I'd be a good luck charm, but
you are.
not this
You are.
year.
Well, we can still
for
ride
sure.
on that then.
Yeah.
Ben, what is your favorite mini that's currently behind you?
Oh.
Oh, so this is mostly. I don't know what you guys can see.
Is it the fake backdrop?
We can
Is this
see the
real?
bookcase.
Oh,
We can see,
green screen.
we can see the bookcase. That's about it.
All right. So this is a lot of my Warhammer stuff and just random. So I also play Warhammer 40K. If anyone else out there plays Warhammer 40K.
How often do you play? Do you play?
Oh,
get to
I'm
play?
really more of a miniature painter
Just a collector.
and army collector. I play rarely because there's not too many people that play up here, and
Yeah.
I'm an hour outside of Denver, so
Yeah.
I would have to drive to Denver to go
Oh no, how difficult.
play. I know that's what you do every week. But you also don't have a 3-year-old, so
I don't.
mean,
Thank
let me
God.
tell you. But
I do not need another being to take care of.
yeah. So of what's behind some of it's like 3D printed stuff. Like that's fingers. That's a Star Trek phaser that I
Oh.
3D printed.
Oh yeah,
That
I
is
see
a Jengo Fett Pez dispenser. I didn't 3D print that, but I have it. That's a 3D printed Yoda koozie. And these are the Warhammer models, and these are the
Nice.
Primarchs. Actually, this is a great segue, Will. You had no idea. So
Yes, I did.
I had another idea, but continue.
So my initial, and this has changed a lot in the lore, but like my initial concept for Argilia was there are 20 gods, the Icostheon, right? And there are 20 Primarchs that are like the progenitors of every Space Marine Legion. Each one has like their genetic code father, like, and they
Like
all have different
stormtroopers?
personalities, and they all have different like, yeah. And so this is like long ago. There were the 20 Primarchs that served the Emperor of Mankind, and so that was sort of where I got the idea of the 20 different countries and regions and the 20 different gods that were like that started the thing. Oh, Tabletop Phoenix, you missed your alert. I'm so sorry. Welcome back. You have to go back and catch the rest of it on the replay. We're
Do we
glad
have acoustic equilibrium in the chat right now? Can
Yeah,
we
he's
thank
still there.
acoustic? Well, thank you so much for that fan art.
He or she, not really sure, but
I think it's- I think- I don't know.
Oh yeah,
Well,
here,
thank
look,
you,
I
thank you for-
think I can do a thing.
Can you do a thing?
Is this the fan art that we were talking about? I think.
Yep, that's
Oh,
it.
yeah.
That's our Discord page.
So
Yeah.
good.
Super cool.
You guys, that's Inara. That I can't tell you. I cannot tell
It
you
was so cool.
how excited I was. I was so excited. I was running through the house. I was like, "We got fan art! Oh my god! Will just texted me. We got fan art."
Acoustic equilibrium is currently winning the fan art game
Yeah. Step your game
By
up,
far.
other people.
by far.
Make more
Sheesh.
fan art.
Okay.
I don't think
Yeah.
it counts if I make fan art. I don't think that counts. So
No, between you and me, we make way too much just art in general.
I guess
to
that's
use,
just art.
so-
Yeah. Tony, you mentioned that you had something to bring up.
I was curious. I don't know how. I could be wrong about this, so sorry if I like oust the PeakD&D. But I'm curious how if everyone. I think it's pretty much out that all of our titles are song titles.
Yeah, I think
That's out,
more
right?
people have caught that.
Yeah.
If you
okay.
haven't picked up on that, it
Which
was
is
only
pretty
a matter
cool.
of time.
And we made a Spotify playlist for them. It's all over the freaking board. I'm still trying to finagle my own. I'm still trying to finagle some certain ones in there, but it's probably never going to happen.
Yes, absolutely. Fan art is always accepted and welcome. If anybody else wants
Yes.
to draw anything from the campaign and send it to us, I will lose my shit every time. It's so
Same.
exciting.
Same. Yeah.
Literally, it's a life goal for me. I was like, I want someone to draw something I tell a story about.
Yeah,
So-
and someone did it. Acoustic Equilibrium has opened
Yes,
that
you did.
door.
And I love it.
You've
So-
made Ben's week and month and year for sure.
Yeah. It's
So
I can die happy. I got to finish this campaign, then I can die happy.
Yes, and we have to finish with the group fork passing to Julius finally to discuss the last X years
But
of
it's,
his
I
life.
mean, this live stream is very life imitating art, where Julius isn't here and he just sort of gets brushed to the side anyway.
I mean, it's on our Discord, but, just playing around with AI, and not to get too far into that conversation at all right now, but there was some song AI, and I put in a little bit about who our characters were, and I was like, give me a little
good.
jingle, and it was like, there's Orin, and there's Orin, and there's Ravi.
The
And
cadence
there
was a little
long
weird.
Pause, and then I was like, and Julius.
Oh yeah.
Even AI knew that Julius is the current third wheel.
How did you send that to us? Was that via text?
I think it was
It's on
via
the
text
Discord channel.
initially,
You can
yeah,
see it.
because I was playing. My cousin showed it to me, and so I was like, "Well, how can I play around with this? I'll throw our campaign into it and just see what it spits out." And
It's not on Google Drive, is it?
it's on the Discord. It's in the Discord,
Is it?
art section somewhere. I
Yeah.
put or in the main channel. I threw the song on there. I think, yeah.
Bulletin
Yeah,
board,
it's
maybe?
in-
Campaign
it's-
corner.
I think so.
It's a song that it's our theme song
It's
now.
a song.
But even that kind of downplays Julius's role, which we'll figure out a way.
Yeah, okay, I got
I
you.
have some good hippie shirts that I want to wear, when I'm
no, that's the
supporting
place.
Julius, and obviously I haven't supported Julius, but I have it literally in my bag ready for the next episode where it's like, instead of Ravi's bodyguard, I'm here to support Julius, and I'm wearing my hippie t-shirt ready to go. And I have that t-shirt ready, but
Yeah.
I'm not ready to. Oren's not ready to really dive in with Julius.
Yeah. For anyone who hasn't caught on, Julius, his entire arc is just Fish references and Grateful Dead references.
It's true. That's why he's a big orange bear.
That's why he's a big orange Grateful Dead.
It took me, I knew there were some of those references, but during Moondance, I think when you're describing that, I think it's even like the face in the moon. I think that's even like, isn't that a Jerry Garcia reference where there's like the smiling face in the moon? I was like, it's focused, I think, on a 3-shot of just you and Max with like art in the middle, but I'm in the background. You can probably hear me going, and like get all the little Fish and Grateful Dead references.
Yeah, I don't know if that song was posted
Julius
in Discord.
so even Julius's name is a Fish reference. So Phish, if you're not familiar with Fish, they're a jam band.
Julius is the Fish reference?
They're all names from Fish songs. His whole family.
Oh.
Elihu, Julius, their last name, Walla, is a name. And then the Helping Friendly book is a like entire lore unto itself from Fish they talk about the hunter and the all this stuff that I'm forgetting now. I'm sorry, Max could tell you a lot more about it, but
he's on tour currently. But
next time he's on the stream, we'll have him deep dive into the Grateful Dead lore of his Julius Voila.
No, that's Fish. Grateful Dead is the moon stuff is the moon stuff is the Grateful Dead.
That's what I meant. I'm sorry. I was thinking
he's sort of an amalgamation of Fish and the Grateful Dead. Both jam bands, arguably, and both kind of there's some similarities there that worked for me. So
I think unless I'm completely mistaken, I think Max described it as like Fish took up the mantle of Grateful Dead when Grateful Dead was kind of on the downhill. Fish was like, all right, now we're the Grateful Dead of the next era, essentially. So
that's probably like they're the Grateful Dead of the 90s.
Yeah, sure. That's kind of how he very plainly described, or very.
I don't know. Will's probably dying inside. You're the music aficionado, so correct me if I'm.
I think we're all the music aficionados. Tony's the only one who plays the instrument.
It's true. I think we're just aficionados in different sectors of music.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Going back, I think, just to the titles, everything is mostly a song title, although we are not opposed. I think the rules that we are kind of establishing here is that we'd most likely for it to be a song title. And if we have to change a word or two, we will. And if it's going to be a lyric, that's fine too. Like, if we can't find a good title, if the lyric just fits perfectly, that's fine too.
Yeah,
I think we don't want it to be too on the nose.
Yeah, I think that's the exception, not the rule. But I think because You'll Never Get Out of This Maze is a lyric.
Yep.
Moondance obviously is a song. Midnight Train to Jorva is a permutation of a song title.
But Will's wife's favorite is my favorite.
Is she did she chat that right now?
No.
Or is she okay, because Yub Nub is her favorite.
Tell that story.
We were texting back and forth for like a week. I think we had it set on the Ewok Village as the title of the episode, thinking that there was a song called the Ewok Village, but it didn't really make sense, like thematically. Like, why are we just like having this be the Ewok Village? So then we spent a whole long amount of text thread in like group texting each other on what Ewok could possibly stand for, so we could make this be the title of the episode. We came up with, I think, settled on Inara.
Woodland?
Inara Woodland Outpost Keep as the thing. And then like the day before the episode was going to come out, like Max was like, there's no song called the Ewok Village. And we're like, damn it. And then we just we were texting and texting and texting, and then Yub Nub got thrown out. My wife was so sick of me hearing me say these out loud and come up with what Ewok could stand for. She's like, Yub Nub, just make it Yub Nub. I like that. Let's do Yub Nub. I was like, actually, it works really well. I kind of like it too.
There's a whole outtake too. We have some outtakes that we may or may not be used for social media at some point. Yeah. But there's an outtake of the end of that conversation around the table, and it was really funny.
Oh man, the Ewok Village. Well, it was because I was looking at the soundtrack, and some of them are of Return of the Jedi, and it was because we're nerds, guys. I don't know if you know that, but
all in different ways.
It was oh yeah, well it's some of it's this one's called At the Ewok Village or the Ewok Celebration, and the soundtrack gives it several titles as well, and there's nothing that said Ewok specifically, but I was convinced it was. There's a song called The Ewok Village. I know that.
I looked it up too. I looked it up right after you proposed it. I was like, great, that sounds great. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And you're I can't find it anywhere.
Yub Nub was the right choice, though. I absolutely.
Totally.
Agreed.
Mischief of a Sleepwalker is my favorite song of the ones, just song. And I think, I'd have to look back real quick to see which is my favorite,
Magic Dragon. That's when I turned into a dragon.
Oh, yeah. Permutation of a song title. Yeah.
Yep. High Hopes was another one.
I like that just because.
That's a double dipper. There's two songs called High Hopes.
And we were kind of referencing both. I think we have both on the Spotify playlist.
Both are on the playlist.
Moondance we talked about. Bulls on Parade. That's probably the closest for me. At least I used to play that song in a cover band. And I really enjoy playing that song by Rage Against the Machine. But that was a good one. That's when the Minotaur broke out.
That was cool.
And then the other one's
In the Tall Trees.
Maze.
Oh, and this is maybe another Easter egg too, Ben. I feel comfortable dropping this right now with Max not here to stop me. But in Come Sail Away, in the thumbnail,
I like that song too.
Max is really wanting to pay homage to, I think, a karaoke night that you might have had, Ben.
Oh,
and so there is a bard, tiny on the deck of the ship, that's just wailing "Come Sail Away," which Max wanted, texted me throw this in here as a subtle thing about Ben's karaoke night.
Yeah, that was a reference to. So when I turned, it was my birthday decades ago, and
we have one every year, Ben.
A karaoke bar. We went bar hopping. I got sloshed, and I was way too old to drink that much at that point. And I was so sick the next day. But I did a pretty stellar, for those of you, maybe I don't think anybody knows this. I'm a music theater major, jazz hand, and so I sing pretty okay. And so I did a pretty badass drunken version of Styx "Come Sail Away" that night, and it went down in history at that bar. We closed the place down. It was great.
And now it lives on in infamy.
For those of you who don't know, Tony killed on the drums. He plays a lot of pop punk stuff. You're in a new band.
Yeah, to answer David H's question, I played in a band called El Paso Lasso, cover band up in Breck, Summit County, where we're based. And then I moved out to Denver 3 years ago, but I still make it up to Summit County to film with these guys. But on my off nights now, last August is when kind of new band started happening, and we're called These Kids Today. We have 5 songs on Spotify, and we have 3 upcoming shows down here in Denver. And we play just just straight punk rock, kind of I like to say there's no prefixes. It's not emo punk, it's not pop punk, it's just punk rock music. So yeah, that's what I do in my spare time.
And after you have
video editing and after working and after
Spotify.
filming.
Tony is truly a Renaissance man.
I do it all. I am a bard because I'm a jack of all trades.
Dave Blake was also at that birthday party, and he reminded me that I think I danced. There was a whole stage show. It was a production. There was dancing involved.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. And then I had to go to work the next day, and I was so hungover, and I had a meeting, like my annual review for work, and I had to keep getting up every 10 minutes to go puke and then come back. It was horrifying. That's when I realized
Back in the
I
day.
am 27 now, and I cannot do this anymore. And I
Back in
haven't.
the day where we could have.
Back in the days.
Um,
Cool.
It might also be Dave Blake that pointed out that on that thumbnail, the ship's sails are kind of empty eschered, and they don't actually like work. Like
it's an elven ship, man. They have different. They play by different rules.
Elven
It's fine.
propulsion. They
It's
don't need to work. They're like reverse solar sails. That's.
I did like talking about the last song title of episode 13 though after we filmed it because it was pretty funny. I fought the log and the log won because the miniatures kept falling off the log and it was wonderful.
Wow, God, what my kingdom for sticky tack. I have some now. I have it ready to go in the background if we get into that again.
I had some for a different game, and I had it in my bag, but I took it out like before that episode. But I would have had it in my bag.
That's hilarious.
Obviously, I didn't because we didn't use it.
Ravi's miniature made it. He fought the log and won. He definitely
won that like log roll competition.
Yeah, yours was like very stable.
It's so small. It's so tiny. It's the smallest one of all of them.
So small.
So, I don't know. Do we have any more questions? We're coming up at like what, an hour 20 minutes right now. So
yeah,
I don't have any.
No more final questions, Will.
Wild.
I want to know more about the Ascension Wars. Tell me everything. I'll try not to drift off in my head. If we're on Inara and we are Inara and we know Inara, I don't know the end of that question yet. And that's it. I got nothing. I got nothing else, guys. That's all I've written.
They're so close, you guys. They're so close.
No, we really just need to sit down with Julius and see if he's okay mentally and physically.
We should. It's definitely going to be at least 7 episodes before that's a possibility of happening. But
because what we filmed through 18, 19? What did we film through?
20? I think the next one's 20.
Okay, so 7 episodes. So it'd be at least 8 or 9 episodes out now until we talk to Julius about how everything's going with him.
Yeah. So we're about
trying to squeak that in the next few
7 weeks ahead for filming.
I enjoy this trajectory of the schedule that we're on because as I'm going back and watching episodes, it's allowing me to like relearn some of the things that I didn't write down at all. And
helps me a lot editing too.
And then it like comes back like 8 episodes later. So it's like, oh, now this is fresh in my head again. So all this information that was completely lost right after the episode was over.
It makes us look so smart too. Like 8 episodes, we remember what happened. And we're like, aha, but it's all along.
But it takes about that many before we're like, yeah, let's read that letter. You know what? Let's check up on Julius. You know,
let's investigate this too.
Yes, acoustic equilibrium. Pray for Julius. Pray for
I am
him.
So mad you guys didn't stay around at that library, but you know, we could have spent days there.
Oh, really? We were just like, bye.
There
were more pressing issues.
Yeah,
I was like, we gotta go.
Lore there that we could have explored, but
we'll go back.
I think it's better that we don't know at this point.
That's fair.
Now I'm kind of glad we didn't, but
that's
I had plans for that library, baby.
No, we came up, we came out, we were so excited to head back to the Ewok village with our heads held high as heroes, saving Inara.
We got Inara. We did it. Won't it be so great?
I did like a loop-de-loop as a dragon, the last loop-de-loop. I could fly as a dragon before it wore off.
And then Ben just shattered our high hopes.
Yeah, it was really hard to hide my smile the whole time. It was...
really a cool mechanic that you used though for the Shadow King, as far as that's concerned.
Oh yeah, that
was a good story point. That was a good story point for sure. But
if are there any other questions in the chat? If not, we should end. Let's see if I have Inara's luck continued on my side, and maybe we should end as well with a rock paper scissors
for an outro. All right.
Yeah, are we ready for it?
Hold on, let me get in the camera. All right.
Ready?
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. I
That's
get it.
Ben.
I
Wait,
get
did
it.
you do Fistful of Dollars this time?
Yeah.
Fistful of
Was that in
dollars.
your head? Was that in your head? Were you
No?
thinking that? Oh.
Yeah.
Usually when I say I do Fistful of Dollars, then they lead with paper to cover rocks because that's when I throw scissors second round.
Oh.
I'm giving away all my
No, I was
secrets.
thinking of Dwayne the Rock Johnson. But
I don't think my mind was really thinking. I just was like, scissors.
nice. Well, hey everybody, thanks for checking out the live stream today. Thanks for hanging out with us. We're just a bunch of goofy guys from Colorado. And we like to play DC-20 and other RPGs, but right now we're just playing DC-20. So thanks for hanging out. We're excited we're getting really close to the launch of the Kickstarter. If you're not, I think everyone here is like either directly involved or is very much involved in DC-20. But if you're not, go check it out. You can get the alpha version at thedungeoncoach.com. You can check it out. So big props to Alan for making a lot of this possible, and we're just glad to be along for the ride.
Yes.
Thanks, y'all. We'll see you next week with a new episode coming out.
It's gonna be good. The next episodes are gonna be good.
And they're really great. We're in Bronze Gate, and there's a whole Bronze Gate arc that we're going into, and it's super fun. So yeah. See you later, guys.
Bye.
Bye.